Welcome to Breaking Ties Destination Divorce. This is your go-to source for practical advice and support while you go through the divorce process. Join us each weekday for a quick chat where we'll cover a variety of topics such as child custody, property division, and self-care. Together, we'll explore emotional, financial, and legal aspects of divorce and help you find the best path forward for you and your family. Here's your host and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst professional, Mike Fulkerson.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Ties Destination Divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today's topic is a question we hear often, and that is, can infidelity during the divorce process impact the settlement? I mean, is your spouse cheating? Does that do anything for you? Now, let's be honest, discovering your spouse cheated can be devastating, especially during an already emotionally charged time like a divorce. So it's natural to want them to face consequences. And you might wonder if their infidelity can translate to a more favorable settlement for you. And the answer depends on the type of divorce laws in your state. I mean, here's a breakdown of what you need to know. First, we got fault versus no fault divorce. I mean, this is the key factor in whether the state allows a fault based or no fault divorce system. Which one they follow is very important. Now, fault based divorce, there's only a handful of states that still consider marital misconduct, including adultery, when determining the division of assets and spousal support. In these states, infidelity could potentially strengthen your case for a larger share of the marital property or higher spousal maintenance payments. And then you got no fault divorce. Most states now are no fault divorce states. And this means the court focuses on the irretrievable breakdown of the marriage as the reason for the divorce, not who caused it. Infidelity, therefore, usually has no direct impact on the financial aspects of the settlement. So, even in no fault states, infidelity might indirectly influence certain aspects of the divorce. Let's take a look at child custody. If the cheating, significantly impacted the children's well-being or created an unstable environment, the judge might consider it during child custody decisions. And then there's emotional distress. While not a direct financial factor, a judge can acknowledge the emotional distress caused by infidelity, potentially influencing the judge's overall view of the situation. Now, regardless of your state's divorce laws, proving infidelity requires evidence. This could include text messages, emails, or witness testimonials. We're going to want to focus on fairness and not revenge. While it's understandable you want your spouse to be held accountable, focusing solely on punishing them through the settlement might not be the most productive approach. Instead, prioritize a fair and equitable division of assets and spousal support based on factors like income, length of marriage, and each spouse's contributions. Sometimes it's best to seek professional guidance. I mean, the best course of action really depends on the specifics of your situation and your state laws. So consulting with a qualified divorce attorney familiar with your state's divorce statutes is probably in your best interest. They can advise you on the potential impact that infidelity on your settlement and guide you towards achieving a fair and just outcome. So we already know that, having a cheating spouse is a painful experience. Remember, you deserve to move forward with your life with dignity and security. While revenge might feel tempting, prioritize fairness and rely on your attorney to navigate the legalities and secure a settlement that reflects your needs. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties Destination Divorce. Any questions? Leave them in the comment section or reach out to me via email or phone. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Have a great day. Hi, and welcome back to Breaking Ties Destination Divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today's topic is a question that frequently arises during the divorce proceedings, and that is how to find hidden assets. Let's face it, A fair and equitable divorce settlement relies on a clear picture of all marital assets and debts. But sometimes one spouse might try to conceal assets, making the division of property much more challenging. Now, here are some strategies we're going to look at to help you uncover hidden assets. And one is we want to scrutinize the financial statements. Bank statements and tax returns really can show a story. So we want to meticulously review any bank statements, credit card statements, and tax returns for the past few years. And you're going to look for some inconsistencies or unexplained deposits or large withdrawals. You also have retirement accounts and investments that we want to break down and really look at all the details. And we can get this through the discovery process where you request the information. Now, if there's a business involved, you want to examine the business records, a sole proprietorship. If your spouse owns a business, request access to business bank accounts, financial statements, and tax returns. Consider hiring a forensic accountant to analyze these documents for discrepancies. Family businesses, in situations involving family businesses, be extra vigilant. Hidden assets might be disguised as business expenses or inflated overhead costs. And then there's public records, property ownership. We can search public records to identify any real estate owned by your spouse, including vacation homes or rental properties held in their name or under a business entity. And vehicle registrations as well. You can check this to make sure all the owned cars and other vehicles are accounted for. Now, we want to look for things also like inconsistent spending. If your spouse's lifestyle seems to contradict their reported income, it might indicate hidden sources of income. Unexplained vacations, expensive purchases, or sudden changes in spending habits can all be red flags. Now, there are professionals who can help with this process, one being your divorce attorney. An experienced divorce attorney can guide you through the legal process of asset discovery. They can draft subpoenas to obtain financial records from third parties like banks or employers. And then the forensic accountant. So a forensic accountant specializes in uncovering hidden assets during divorce. And they can analyze complex financial documents, identify inconsistencies, and trace suspicious transactions. Now, a couple things we want to keep in mind really are deadlines. Many states have deadlines for asset discovery in divorce cases. So missing these deadlines can limit your ability to uncover hidden assets later. And then there are costs. Investigating hidden assets can be expensive, especially if you need to hire a forensic accountant or another professional. So finding hidden assets during a divorce can be complex and frustrating. However, by employing a combination of these strategies and seeking professional guidance, you can increase your chance of achieving a fair and equitable financial settlement. Remember, an open and honest conversation with your attorney is critical to determine the best course of action for your specific situation. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties Destination Divorce. Should you have any questions on today's topic, please reach out to me or leave me a comment. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Have yourself a great day. Hello and welcome back to Breaking Ties Destination Divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today's question tackles a concern many parents face, and that is, how far can I live from my kids during the divorce? Now, there is no simple answer. The distance you can live from your children during divorce depends on several factors, really, including your state laws, type of custody agreement you established with your ex-spouse, and ultimately the judge's decision. So here's a kind of a breakdown of what you need to consider. And it's going to start with custody arrangements. If you and your ex say agree to joint custody, where parenting time is shared relatively equally, then living further away might be more feasible. However, maintaining frequent and consistent contact with your children still remains of the utmost importance. Now, there's also sole custody. So if one parent has sole custody, the other parent's living situation becomes less of a concern. However, visitation rights and distance can still be a factor. We're going to want to really focus on the best interest of the kids. Ultimately, the court prioritizes this whole best interest of the kids when determining custody arrangements and geographical limitations. And so the judge might consider some of the following factors. And one's going to be age of the child. Younger children often benefit from more frequent and consistent in-person contact with both parents. Existing relationships. When we look at the child's established relationships with extended family, friends, and their school community, definitely a consideration. And then the ability to maintain consistent contact. The judge will assess your ability to maintain regular and meaningful contact with your children, regardless of the distance. The ideal scenario is finding a solution that really allows you to pursue your goals while minimizing disruption for your children. And so there are some things you could do to help with compromising. One is technology. Video calls, online messaging, and shared digital calendars can help bridge the physical gap and maintain communication. There's also flexible schedules. Considering a flexible work schedule or relocation option that allows for frequent visits and quality time with your kids. And then there's co-parenting collaboration. Working with your ex-spouse to create a parenting plan that addresses the challenges of distance demonstrates your commitment to your children's well-being. So I'm going to say you probably want to chat with an attorney, divorce lawyer in this situation, because state laws regarding relocation with children vary. And consulting with a qualified divorce attorney familiar with your state laws and statutes is pretty important. And they're able to advise you on your legal rights, potential challenges, and strategies for creating a custody arrangement that prioritizes your children's needs. Divorce is a complex process, as we know, and living arrangements are just one piece of the puzzle. And while distance can be a factor, what truly matters is your commitment to maintaining a strong, healthy relationship with your kids. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. Should you have any questions on today's topic, feel free, reach out to me, call me, email me, drop a comment if you want. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Have yourself a good day. Hi, and welcome back to Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today's topic is a question everyone wants an answer to. How long will my divorce take? Well, as in most things, there's no one size fits all. The duration of a divorce can vary greatly depending on several factors. So perhaps the best way to explain how long it could take is to go through some of these key influences. And probably one of the bigger ones here is going to be the contested versus uncontested divorce. An uncontested divorce, really, if you and your spouse agree on all aspects of the divorce, and that includes things like asset division, child custody, if you have kids, spousal maintenance, if applicable, the process can be resolved relatively quickly, sometimes within just a few months. Now, a contested divorce, on the other hand, if there are disagreements about any of these issues, the process becomes much more time-consuming. Negotiations may take months, and court involvement can significantly extend the timeline. Other things for how long it's going to take, really is just how complex the issues are. Simple cases, if you got minimal assets, no children, straightforward agreements tend to move through the system faster, and that in turn will make it quicker for you. Then there's complex cases where if you got significant assets, a business, or intricate child custody arrangements, that all requires more time for investigation, valuation, and negotiation. And then we got to look at, potential court backlogs. The workload of the local court system can significantly impact the timeline. Courts with a backlog of cases might schedule hearings months in advance, adding to the overall waiting time. And you got trial versus settlement. If your case goes to trial, it will inevitably take longer than reaching a settlement outside of court. So you just got to keep that in mind as well. There are some residency rules that each state has, and you're going to need to know these before you file for a divorce. You or your spouse must have resided in the state for the specific period of time before the court can grant a divorce. Now, beyond the main points here, other factors that can influence the duration would be, say, availability of lawyers. The schedule of your attorney is going to impact the pace of negotiations and court appearances. And then you got the discovery process, and that's where we're looking at obtaining financial records, appraisals, and other documentations, depending on the complexity of your case, could take significant time. So, what if you want a speedier resolution? We can't control all the variables, but here's some strategies to potentially expedite the process. One is open communication. If you're communicating openly and honestly with your spouse, that can streamline the process of negotiations. There's also mediation. Consider mediations to reach a settlement outside of the court with the help of a neutral third party. And then lastly, gathering documentation. So being proactive and getting the necessary documents up front really can save you time during the discovery process. So the time frame for the divorce is really unique to your situation, and consulting with a qualified divorce attorney is probably important and good for you. They can assess the specific circumstances, provide a more accurate timeline estimate, and guide you towards efficient strategies to help you navigate the divorce process as smoothly as possible. I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. Should you have any questions, reach out or leave a comment. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Until then, have a great day. Hi, and welcome back to Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. Really, we're looking at navigating the divorce process, and we're going to keep a lot of different things in mind. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, financial advisor and certified divorce financial analyst professional. And today's topic really is pretty important, and that's helping kids adjust when one parent moves out during the divorce. Now, divorce, as we know, is a very difficult experience for everyone involved, but it's really, quite challenging for the children. Witnessing the breakdown of the family unit and the upheaval of their daily routines can really cause a lot of anxiety and confusion. When one parent moves out, it adds another layer of complexity. Now, let's look at some strategies to help ease this transition for your kids. And we're going to start with communication. And I say this a lot through the podcasts. We want to use age-appropriate explanations. So we got to tailor our conversations to the kids' ages. Younger children needs more simple, honest explanations. Teenagers can handle more of the details. Now, we got to reassure them that the whole divorce thing is not their fault. I mean, we got to emphasize that. And both parents, really need to say that they love them very much and that nothing is going to change about their love for them. And then when it comes to communication, you got to create that safe space for questions. You got to let them know they can come to you with any questions or concerns they might have. And you have to be open to that as a parent. So we also want to then look at areas like maintaining consistency and routines. Taking a look at those schedules and bedtimes, and as much as possible, we want to maintain the regular routines for meals, bedtimes, extracurricular activities, and we want to do that between both homes. Familiar traditions, sometimes you can continue those cherished family traditions and rituals, even if they need to be modified slightly because of the divorce. And then there's predictability, and that offers comfort. Let your children know what to expect during the week and on the weekends, and that will help them process and then also reduce their anxiety. We want to minimize disruptions. So packing smartly, when the moving parent packs their belongings, help children pack a special comfort bag. And it's going to have things like maybe familiar toys or blankets or other objects that they can take to the other parent's house. And we want to maintain our ties too. I mean, encourage open communication with the other parent, FaceTime calls, shared pictures, or maintaining cherished traditions together virtually or in person really can help minimize the feelings of separation. I mean, even though one parent moves out, doesn't mean you should talk to your kids any less. Now, we do want to prioritize the emotional well-being of the kids. We got to be patient. Adjusting to a new normal really does take time. And kids like you are, as well as you, I should say, have emotional ups and downs. validate their feelings when they actually do open up to you. And it doesn't matter if it's sadness, anger, or confusion. Their feelings are their own, and you will need to be supportive of that. And then we can also consider seeking professional support. I mean, a family therapy, or individual counseling for your children or yourself if you find that they're struggling emotionally, on ways to work through the difficult time. Now, when we're creating two secure homes, we need a positive environment. So both parents should strive really to create a loving and secure environment for each household. And that's going to vary because each person is different on how they set up and structure, but there should be some commonalities as well. And then we want to have respectful communication with your ex-partner. I mean, even if it's difficult, this can minimize tension and create a more harmonious environment for your kids. And don't forget about co-parenting and collaboration there. I mean, you want to work together with your ex-spouse on major decisions regarding your children's upbringing, even if it requires some kind of compromise. So divorce is a process. Whether you're starting it, you're going through it, you finished it, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. But prioritizing open communication, trying to minimize those disruptions, and focusing on your children's well-being, you can work together to help them adjust. And remember, resources are available, whether it's a support group or a therapist. If you feel the need, go and interview some people and see what they can do to assist you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking Ties, Destination Divorce. Should you have any questions, reach out to me or leave a comment. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Until next time, have a good day.